Good morning. We're living in fantastic spaces. And within these fantastic spaces, symbols are being manipulated. Alright, we're living in a matrix. And I might sound crazy, but I'm the only one sane around here, brothers and sisters. Of course, including you. And yes, I am a flying monkey. I am the flying monkey of Sam Wagnin. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you are the majority. Stay comfortable and safe within your fantastic spaces. And just scroll on through the manipulated symbols which are brought to you by algorithms, by artificial intelligence controlled by narcissistic psychopaths. And this is not a conspiracy theory, it's the truth. But in times that we live, it sounds crazy. All right, I think we have to focus on the truth, head on, and live with it. All right, you know, back in the days when we were living tribal, we were forced all together. Human beings were one living, conscious community. And there was no need for public exposure or smear campaigns. And there's the difference. It's like victim blaming and a person taking responsibility for what they do, okay? So the difference between public exposure and smear campaign is it's two sides of the same coin. The smear campaign is an alternative narrative in order to maintain a social status of abusers. And a public exposure is a countermeasure to make people understand what really happened. But all of that would not be necessary if we would live together in living communities. But since we live in fantastic spaces, everybody has a so-called pseudo-private space. We're living in cults. Everybody lives in his cult bubble, so to speak, okay? We're living in cities. We're living in families. The families are also often divided, controlled, and manipulated by narcissistic psychopaths. Just like countries, politicians, entertainment industry. Wherever we go, the people who come out on top are those who are entitled, have a lack of empathy, and thrive for power, okay? So this matrix, even though it's just 1 to 5% of narcissistic psychopaths, and much more people with strong traits of that, even though they are a minority, they still control the system because they end up on top, all right? Who is born for wrestling with pigs in the mud will end up on top. Hyper-competitive people will end up on top. And this was not possible when we were living in living communities because there was no need for a smear campaign, all right? The people knew what is happening. Everybody knew what is happening. They felt it, they saw it. And people were held accountable immediately for what they do. Everybody knew what was happening. People were living in truth. But today, we are living in the fantastic spaces that are separated from each other. And this is why narration and entertainment has become an industry and a weapon, okay? So everybody can do what he wants in terms of moral or abuse. And afterwards, they create a narrative that is socially acceptable. And this is the smear campaign. And then another person will publicly expose the true story. But both stories will both exist and seem to be the same. Both a smear campaign. So that in many ways, or often, the smear campaign of the narcissistic psychopath, especially when they are very good at creating guilt traps, will seem to be the truth, while the person that is emotionally vulnerable, triggered, and coming up with a public exposure, trying to speak the truth, what really is happening, will sound crazy and nobody will believe it. Okay? So we have two narrations, and the narrations are necessary because nobody knows what the truth is, because we are living in these fantastic spaces, not in living communities anymore. And now the person that has been victimized, abused, pushed over the edge, been taken advantage over, when this person wants to speak the truth, to break the narration of the smear campaign, of the we just move on and pretend nothing ever happens, this person sounds crazy and will not be believed, will be ostracized. All right. So our new modern world plays absolutely into the cards of the psychopathic narcissists and their narration. All right. This is where we live, and we have to face this. And in my community, in my YouTube channel, I will keep on speaking about this topic. You understand? I will keep on speaking about this topic, what we can do to survive in such a world. All right? In a world controlled, narrated, manipulated by narcissistic psychopaths.